Why is it nearly impossible to go from 9 to 5 job to full-time photographer? Now, I've done this. I know many people who never did the 9 to 5 job and they don't know the pain of this. And it is painful. It is difficult and it's hard. Why is it so difficult to go from 9 to 5 job, you're jobbing officey, folky peoples, to being a full-time photographer? Why is that so hard? And I know why, and I'm going to tell you why in the hope that you can make the move. Now, business runs from 9 to 5 for some archaic reason. There is no need for it, but it is how it is. So whilst your actual 9 to 5 job, it's very difficult to be going to networking events. It's very difficult to be setting up meetings. It is nigh on impossible to be creating work because everybody you need to create work is free during 9 to 5 hours. In the evening, when you get home from work, you are exhausted. At the weekends, you need a rest. It doesn't make for an easy transition. I've got a follow-up video on this on how to make that transition successfully, so do hit subscribe if you want to see that. You, of course, can work 2 full-time jobs. If we assume 35 hours a week is a full-time job, 70 hours a week is about what I'm pulling at the moment. It is perfectly doable. And like I've said, though, the problem is that other full-time job, which would be your photography, is at the wrong time of day. You need it during daytime hours. And because of this, you have to make the jump too soon. You get to a point where you've done everything you can do in the evenings. You probably started at camera clubs. You probably went to some of those model days where they book in like generic models for the day and everyone shoots the same thing. You've been on workshops. You've been to the photography show. You need more. You need to create more. But you can't do that whilst you have the job. And you're right in thinking that. You can't. And it is the most terrifying part about becoming a full-time photographer. Going from I'm making money to I'm losing money is not ideal. If you've been in a normal job your entire life, a PAYE job as we call it in the UK, a gainfully employed person, going from believing you have the security of a paycheck to let's see, is not ideal. It is not ideal. And I do think the sooner you make this jump, the easier it is. If you're at 40 years of age and you've spent 20 odd years in the workforce, going from having a pension plan, sick pay, holiday pay, and a salary to, it's not fun. It's not fun. I was lucky I made the jump just about at the point where I could stomach it. I wish I'd never gone into full-time employment, knowing what I know now. I don't believe it is anywhere near as secure as the career I have. My career is much more secure than anybody's 9 to 5 job. And I don't care what you say, unless maybe you work in the public sector in the UK where it's nigh on impossible to get fired. But, don't care. But when things are going bad in my business, I know months in advance and we batten down the hatches. I've got friends who've turned up to work and been fired in the morning, not fired, but like laid off. I also know people who've turned up to work and there's been chains on the door. They had a secure job. I don't have a secure job, and knowing that makes it secure in the weirdest paradox ever. But you are right in thinking it is impossible to go from 9 to 5 to full-time photographer. There is a period of chaos. There is a period of loss. There is a period of despair. Everybody goes through it. The point where you leave that job, and even if you've got your savings built up, all they're going to do is dwindle down. It's very rare that you make the leap straight into success. Much like with my YouTube channel, I give everything a 3-year plan. I'm like, I'm going to do YouTube for 3 years and see if it works. Of course, for my first 2 years on YouTube, I lost money. Year 3, we broke even. Now we make money. In photography, it was the same trajectory. A lot of people, though, they jump in and they jump out so quick. They never get to the point where they've made that success. You've got to be in it for long enough and you've got to put in the work. I know a lot of people who've been in it, reading F-Stoppers articles, DxO scores, watching YouTube videos. That's not being in it, that's leisure time. Being in it is marketing. It's creating a body of work. That's being in it. So I understand the plight. I understand the difficulty, and I want you to know, yes, that is exactly how it is. There is no sugarcoating here. There's no solution. It's just be prepared. It's going to be bad. And yes, you do have to make the jump, and you have to make it before you need to, because you need those daytime hours for marketing, for good portfolio work, not weekend and evening portfolio work, to be fresh when you start your photography work in the day, not going off just an 8-hour day. My boss has been an absolute spoon. now I've got to go and deal with this here. I'm not in the mood. You can't be creative when you're exhausted. It's very difficult. I do my creative work whenever I feel creative. Now, every day I make sure I do something creative. Today it's this. But I make sure I do it when I feel right. This morning I was going to do it first thing. I got in, I was like, do you know what? Not feeling it. I'll go and do some admin for a bit. When you've got a full-time job, you get home from work and it's like, I've got to do it because this is all I've got. So it will never be as good. It's impossible to be as good as a seasoned pro with a day job. It just is. It sucks. It's not the answer you're probably hoping for, but there we go. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.